Welcome, everyone. Welcome once again to the October 13th, 2011 edition, episode number 87 of the Still Real Tuz Show. I am the champ, Jeff Beck. I am from the Wheelhouse Radio program. And you can download this show every week at wheelhouseradio.com and wrestlechat.net. Of course, also at twfnews.com, camelclutchblog.com. I am one half of the Wrestling Podcast Tag Team Champions of the World. I am the champ, Jeff Beck. And ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together and welcome back behind the mic. It's almost been a month since the last time he's been on the show. Welcome back, editor-in-chief of camelclutchblog.com, host of Pro Wrestling Radio, the one and only Eric Argiulo. Eric, welcome back, my friend.
Jeff, thank you very much. Happy to be back, and I promise no walkouts today on the radio show. You have my full vote of confidence, and I am excited to be back.
Oh, thank God for that, because I do not want us to be occupying the podcast. I don't know how we would do that.
Yeah, I don't know how we would do that either. What do we, just walk away from our microphone?
I guess we just walk away and it'd just be a silent 1 hour podcast. Maybe we'll fill it up with some Michael Bolton music. I don't know how we would do such. Lots to talk about on today's show. We're actually going to preview and predict. This is a first. We haven't done this in a while. A TNA pay-per-view. Since it's Bound for Glory, it's their WrestleMania. We're going to preview and predict Bound for Glory in a little bit. We're going to talk about Brock Lesnar.
I'm really walking out.
Yeah, okay, there we go. The show is now over after 3 minutes.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about Brock Lesnar being named to WWE 12. I know Eric's going to gloat a little bit about that one. And if this is the start of the return of Brock Lesnar, possibly on WWE television. We're going to give our thoughts on Mark Henry as of late, why the WWE continues to bury Jim Ross in Oklahoma. We're going to wonder if Vince McMahon is still a genius, our good friend Luke Hawx on WWE television and why they need to sign him. But we start off this week's show, Eric. I'm just going to put it to you this way. What the hell happened on Monday night?
What, the Lions, they did it at home against the Bears? Oh, you're talking about the wrestling show.
Yeah, you know what I was going to say is there really wasn't something for me to watch. The Lions were blowing out the Bears, like you just said. The ALCS at the time, the Rangers were beating the Brewers were the Cardinals were beating the Brewers in the NLCS. The ALCS was over, so there really wasn't much to watch. My TV was locked into what I was thinking was going to be a different Raw and something that was going to be fun, something new. And I at the end of the show, Eric, I was like, what the hell did I just watch? Am I alone on this thought process?
You know, it's funny, this whole Triple H thing, because I'll admit it, Jeff, that the week before, obviously, you know, I wasn't here last week, so we didn't really get a chance to discuss it. But the week before, when they did the actual walkout angle, I loved it. And I was in a huge minority because all over the social media world and the blogosphere, you know, the internet wrestling community, so to speak, they were hating that angle. And I definitely saw their points. You know, the big criticism was that Triple H buried a lot of the talent, or just whoever booked the angle buried a lot of the talent. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. You know, I totally got that, but I just loved that moment at the end of Raw last week when they all walked out and it was silent. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great moment. Fast forward, I was excited. I'll admit it. I was really excited to see where they were going to go with this. And, you know, I knew that I was fighting my way up because, again, a lot of people not so keen on the angle, but okay, whatever. And man, you know, it just did a nosedive in a hurry. And you and I, we're not the only ones that felt that way, because you look at the ratings pattern, the patterns for this past Raw, and it opened up with a real strong rating, which shocked me, Jeff. It opened up with a 3.2, which in the midst of a baseball playoff game and I would say the biggest Monday Night Football game of the season, I thought was super impressive. So I think a lot of people were in my camp. They really liked it, and they wanted to see where it was going to go next. But, man, you know, in just a couple of minutes, Triple H did a better job than anybody has in months of burying the entire roster. And, you know, it's easy to blame him, but he's not the writer, and he doesn't have final approval. So, you know, I'll say it was Vince McMahon. I'll say it was a creative team, but they did a tremendous job of burying the locker room. You know, when Triple H went out there and he mocked them for saying it was dangerous and this and that. He was right. He was absolutely right with everything he said. And for anybody that's watched wrestling, I would say for more than just a couple of months, we've seen crazier times and crazier incidents on WWE television than what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. That's really where they dropped the ball on this thing. Well, they dropped the ball on a lot of places, so I shouldn't say that. But where they really dropped the ball is they never really made it crazy enough to provoke something like that. And then you have Vince McMahon, who, from what we were told, doesn't even work here, walking out and doing this angle. Then you have John Laurinaitis, who just can't put a sentence together that you can understand on television now as the heel GM. I mean, this thing just nosedived in a hurry. And I know, Jeff, you talked a lot about CM Punk last week about him not being the guy. And, you and I, we had correspondence and emails about your blog, a fantastic blog you wrote on my site on the matter. But, he's another guy that was just totally killed this past Monday Night on Raw. Whereas, you follow what he wrote on Twitter last week about why he wasn't out there. And you know what? You thought to yourself, at least I did, wow, it makes a lot of sense. But then he comes out there and he's begging Triple H to wear his suit jacket like some kind of jackass, sitting at ringside. And of all people in Triple H's corner, it's him. And then you fast forward to the end of the show, and now they're tag partners. I mean, this whole thing really makes TNA Wrestling, the booking of TNA Wrestling, look like something out of Bill Watts Mid-South.
Yeah, really, really confusing Raw. Let's kind of break this down a little bit here. You mentioned before the whole CM Punk stuff. Maybe people would say, I think he's kind of been off the radar way before a month ago, but the fans that were still sticking on to this whole thing that Punk has developed since his promo on June 26th, or June 27th, whatever the case may be, you look at what's been going on, and he was such a hot talent. People were really interested in what he was going to do or say next, and then he's just kind of lost steam over time here. And you mentioned before, here he is leading up to all of this, SummerSlam time and afterwards, Night of Champions, he's feuding with Triple H. Whether they eventually got in the ring, it wasn't supposed to be the eventual end result there, but they've been feuding with one another. It was going to lead to something. People said it would lead to a Survivor Series match, maybe something at Royal Rumble. Eric even wanted to see it at WrestleMania 28.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen now. Now they're chummy. They're buddy-buddy. They're tag partners. That's thrown out the window. 1. 2, I have never heard, up until this show, Triple H referred to as the Raw GM. All of a sudden, he's the general manager of Raw. I could have sworn he was the chief operating officer, and he was on both shows. But here he is the first time being named the Raw GM. The anonymous Raw GM thing, the computer out the window, out the door. For a while, that was something that would gain a lot of heat, especially for Michael Cole. That's no longer, that's gone. And Triple H this whole time was the Raw GM, I guess, the last couple of weeks since he became the COO. And now Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis, is now the new Raw GM, temporarily, interim. Vince McMahon, who was supposedly, I thought, let go of his duties, but still listed as the chairman of the WWE, and in talks with the board of directors, removes Triple H as the position of Raw GM, but he's still the COO. That right there, Eric, and this isn't breaking down, I guess that's mainly the storylines that were broken down from the show, and we could talk about the walkout and the Occupy Raw after this, but that right there, is that not extremely confusing and just everything you've built up, hey, let's just toss it out the window? This sounds like to me, Eric, if I'm a person that works for WWE or I'm a writer, this was rewritten a couple times, maybe 8, 9, 10 times before they got a product on paper that Vince McMahon liked. This show really made no sense whatever. The booking was Vince Russo-ish, and like you said, it made TNA look great. But that right there, those couple storylines I just mentioned, I mean, what was the point of building it up if you were going to tear it down in one episode?
2 points. And one, you brought up Vince Russo-ish, and I want to get back to what you were saying. But if you look at Bound for Glory, and I don't want to jump ahead here, Jeff, but if you look at Bound for Glory, and you look at the two main programs at Bound for Glory, Sting and Hogan, and Bobby Roode and Kurt Angle. Now, take the fact that Sting and Hogan, they're probably going to have a horrible match or fight, as Hogan likes to say. But take that out of the equation for a second, which is kind of hard to do, but bear with me for a second. But you look at the way those two programs right now, the two biggest programs going on in the company right now, because Bound for Glory is their WrestleMania, so you would say that the two biggest programs of the year. You look at the way that those two angles have been booked, and they have been booked better than anything in recent memory in the WWE.